Okay, so get this picture in your head. You're in the English countryside, right?
Yeah.
Rolling hills, charming little villages,
Yeah.
the whole bit.
Right.
But there's one huge GE difference. Like,
Mhm.
picture giant dinosaurs just roaming around.
Oh, absolutely.
Turns out, that's not actually that far-fetched for Oxfordshire way back when.
Yeah. And we're not just talking about a couple of random bones they dug up either. This is like a whole dinosaur highway.
A highway.
A trackway, I should say, a series of fossilized footprints. It's one of the biggest ones in the world.
Wow, okay. So how many footprints are we talking here?
Hundreds. Hundreds of footprints,
Mhm.
perfectly preserved from like 166 million years ago.
It's like they just walked through yesterday. So, like, if we could hop in a time machine and go back 166 million years, what would Oxfordshire look like?
Well, first off, imagine it's warm, like way warmer than the Oxfordshire we know now. Picture a muddy lagoon teeming with life, and instead of those quaint villages, you'd have these huge dinosaurs stomping around.
Okay, I'm trying to picture it. And I'm guessing some of those dinosaurs were pretty famous.
Oh, for sure.
Like Megalosaurus, right? That fierce predator, something like 10 feet tall. I read they had teeth like daggers.
Yeah, those teeth were no joke.
And get this, their eyes were like the size of birthday cakes.
Yep. Those big eyes would have been pretty useful for spotting its prey like the Cetiosaurus.
Cetiosaurus. Okay, tell me about this one.
Well, imagine a massive, long-necked dinosaur. Actually, they called it the whale lizard, which is a pretty good description. Herbivores, these guys were, and they could get huge,
Huge how?
like 60 feet long, maybe.
Yeah.
Some of the largest animals to ever walk the earth, really.
Whoa, okay. That's longer than a school bus.
Yeah.
And we're not just imagining them from bones, right? These footprints are super detailed.
Right. I was reading, you can even see how the mud squished under their feet. It's amazing.
It really is. So we get to see more than just their bones. What else can we learn from these footprints?
Oh, tons. You see, footprints give you this whole different layer of information compared to just skeletons. Like, we can figure out their gait, so how they walked, the speed they traveled at, even their behavior.
It's like we get a glimpse into their lives, like they're frozen in time.
Exactly.
I'm picturing them right now, stomping through the mud. So there's one section of this trackway that's got everyone buzzing. Sounds like a Megalosaurus might have been hunting a Cetiosaurus.
Interesting.
The report I read mentioned a Megalosaurus footprint overlapping a Cetiosaurus one.
Uh-huh.
And the Cetiosaurus seemed to have stopped and looked back, like maybe it knew something was up.
A close call, maybe. A Jurassic chase scene?
Possibly? What do you think?
Well, it makes sense to jump to that conclusion, right? And the evidence is pretty suggestive. But we have to be careful, too. It's possible that these footprints, happened at slightly different times, and the overlap is just a coincidence.
True, true. So, we can't say for sure it was a chase, but we can't rule it out either. That's what I love about this stuff. Always keeps you guessing. Okay, here's something I found really cool. So, despite the huge size difference between the two, both dinosaurs were walking at basically the same speed.
Really?
Yeah, about
Right.
3 miles per hour, like a casual human stroll.
That is interesting. So even though the Cetiosaurus could have taken way longer strides, it was moving at basically the same pace as the Megalosaurus.
Exactly.
Wow.
What do you make of that? Were they both migrating or just on a leisurely Jurassic stroll?
Man, those are great questions, and they might not have a clear answer. I guess that's part of what makes paleontology so fascinating, right? Putting together those clues, trying to understand a world that's long gone.
Absolutely. And sometimes those clues come from the most unexpected places.
Totally.
Can you imagine being Gary Johnson? He's the quarry worker who found these footprints.
Oh, yeah, I read about him.
He thought it was just a hump in the ground. What are the odds, right? To think that simple hump was a perfectly preserved dinosaur footprint, hidden for millions of years.
It's crazy, right? You never know what you're going to find just beneath the surface. And it makes you think, how many other incredible discoveries are still out there just waiting to be found?
That's a great question. And what's even cooler is that his discovery led to this huge excavation, something like 100 scientists and students working on it.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Teams from the universities of Oxford and Birmingham and tons of volunteers meticulously excavating and documenting the site. What a massive undertaking, but the payoff must have been worth it, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
So what's next for these footprints? Are they going on display somewhere?
Well, preserving a site like this is tricky. You want people to see it, but at the same time, being exposed to the elements could damage these footprints. They're fragile after all that time.
Yeah, it's a tough one. How do you balance that? The desire to share these discoveries with the world and the need to protect them.
It's something that paleontologists and museum folks are always dealing with. One idea is to make super detailed replicas and put those on display.
Oh, like in museums or visitor centers.
Exactly. Or
Huh.
even use technology, 3D scanning, virtual reality. You could create these amazing experiences where people could walk through the
That
site.
would be awesome. Imagine strapping on a VR headset and being able to walk among the dinosaurs, see their footprints right there in front of you.
It'd be incredible, right?
Totally. And who knows, maybe there are even more footprints hidden beneath the surface, just waiting to be discovered. This discovery has completely changed our understanding of dinosaurs in Britain.
For sure.
And it makes me think there are probably a ton more exciting finds just waiting to be unearthed. It's a good reminder that Oxfordshire wasn't always rolling hills and charming villages. Millions of years ago, it was a dinosaur haven. Although I always thought that most of the big discoveries in England were marine creatures, because most of the land was underwater for so long.
Yeah, that's a pretty common misconception. You're right, England was underwater for long stretches, but there were times when land would emerge, which created habitats for all kinds of dinosaurs.
So this trackway is like a perfect example of that.
Exactly. It shows that dinosaurs weren't just like passing through, they were actually thriving in what's now Oxfordshire.
See, this is why I love these deep dives.
Yeah.
We get to shatter myths and uncover these hidden histories. So we've built a pretty good picture of Jurassic Oxfordshire, but I have a feeling there's more to this story, don't you think?
Oh, I think you're right. We've only just started to scratch the surface of what these footprints can tell us.
I can't wait to hear more.
Let's dive in. So we've got these footprints, right? These footprints offer like a whole other way of looking at things. Like, what can we learn about dinosaur behavior from these tracks that, we couldn't just get from the bones?
I'm ready to hear it. I mean,
Yeah.
It feels like we've barely scratched the surface of what these tracks can tell us.
Totally. These trackways are like little time capsules of behavior. They capture these moments, these fleeting moments in these animals' lives that bones just don't.
So it's not just about figuring out what kind of dinosaur it was. We're actually seeing how they lived, how they moved around, and even how they interacted with each other.
Exactly. Like, take the spacing and arrangement of the footprints. We can tell if these dinosaurs were traveling in packs or alone. Even like how deep the footprints are, the shape of the impressions, that gives us clues about how much they weighed, their posture, all sorts of stuff.
That's amazing. It's like we're detectives piecing together clues to figure out the lives of these creatures from millions of years ago.
That's a great way to put it. And get this, the researchers didn't just look at the footprints, they went a step further, right? They created 3D models of the footprints and the whole surrounding area, so they could really study the tracks in detail and even simulate how these dinosaurs might have moved. Pretty cool, huh?
Wow, that's taking things to a whole new level. We were talking earlier about how both the Megalosaurus and the Cetiosaurus were walking at about the same speed, right?
Right.
But hold on. The Megalosaurus was a predator, right? Shouldn't it be faster if it's going to be chasing down its prey?
That's what you'd think, yeah. But it's not always so simple. We're talking about walking speed here, not like full-on running speed. The Megalosaurus could probably, burst into speed when it needed to hunt. But for everyday movement, it seems like a slower pace was more efficient.
So maybe the Megalosaurus was more of an ambush predator, relying on stealth and surprise rather than pure speed, kind of like a prehistoric ninja.
There you go. That's a great analogy. It makes sense when you think about other big predators, too, even ones that are alive today. Lions, for example. They're crazy fast in short bursts, but most of the time they're conserving their energy,
Makes sense. It's all about efficiency. Okay, let's switch gears for a second and talk about how these footprints were found. It sounds like it was pure luck, right?
You could say that. Serendipity at its finest. Gary Johnson, the guy who found him, was just clearing some clay when he spotted something. He thought it was just a bump in the ground.
And it turned out to be.
A perfectly preserved dinosaur footprint, hidden for millions of years.
What are the chances? It's amazing.
Yeah.
It gets even better. His discovery led to this massive excavation project. Over 100 scientists and students all working together.
That's a lot of manpower. What an undertaking.
Right. Teams from Oxford, Birmingham, volunteers, everyone meticulously digging and documenting the site. That must have been so exciting to be a part of.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine the thrill of uncovering those footprints, knowing you're one of the first people to see them in millions of years.
So I'm curious, what happens to these footprints now? Are they going to be put on display somewhere?
That's the tricky part. Preserving a site like this is a delicate balance. On the one hand, it would be amazing to have them out in the open for everyone to see. But on the other hand, exposure to the elements, the weather and all that, could damage these footprints. They are fragile, after all.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like a catch-22, right?
Sure.
You want to share these incredible discoveries with the public, but you also have to make sure they're protected for future generations. So
Yeah.
how do you strike that balance?
Right. It's something museums and paleontologists deal with all the time. One idea is to create replicas, super detailed copies of the footprints. Those could go on display in museums.
Oh, right, like at a museum or a visitor center so people could see them up close.
Exactly. And then you have the technology side, 3D scanning and virtual reality. We could use those to create these incredible immersive experiences where people could walk through the site virtually.
That's an awesome idea. Imagine strapping on a VR headset and being able to walk among the dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing those footprints right there in front of you. What a time to be alive.
Right. It would be amazing. And who knows, maybe there are more footprints out there hidden beneath the surface just waiting to be discovered. This discovery has totally changed our understanding of dinosaurs in Britain.
It really has. And it makes you wonder how many other amazing discoveries are still out there. But wait, hold on a second. I almost forgot. We've been talking about all these land-dwelling dinosaurs in Oxfordshire, but didn't we say earlier that Oxfordshire was once a warm, shallow sea?
Right. You're thinking about the marine fossils, yeah.
Exactly. Oxfordshire is famous for its marine fossils, ammonites, all sorts of cool cephalopods. So how does that fit in with the dinosaurs walking around on land?
Good question. It's not a contradiction, really. It all comes down to geological time and the fact that our planet is dynamic. Over millions of years, sea levels have gone up and down, continents have moved around, and the climate's changed drastically. What's now Oxfordshire was submerged under shallow seas for a while, and then it was dry land, and then back again. All those changes happened over millions of years.
That's incredible. So it's like Oxfordshire has been through a whole bunch of different phases, each one leaving its mark on the fossil record, like flipping through a geological photo album and seeing snapshots of different worlds throughout time.
Exactly. And these dinosaur footprints are a powerful reminder that even in a place like the English countryside, with its rolling hills and all that, traces of an ancient, amazing past are hidden just below the surface.
It really makes you wonder, what other stories are still buried out there, just waiting for us to find them?
That's the beauty of it all, isn't it? The journey of discovery never truly ends.
So true. And speaking of journeys, we've been on quite a ride today, haven't we? Back to Jurassic Oxfordshire, walking in the footsteps of giants. But I think it's time for a little break.
Sounds good to me.
We've been on quite a journey back to Jurassic Oxfordshire, walking in the footsteps of giants.
And we've only just begun to uncover the secrets hidden within these incredible footprints.
Feels like with every detail we unearth, more questions pop up. What other dinosaurs were roaming around back then? Are there more footprints out there just waiting to be discovered?
Oh, definitely possible. Remember, this trackway, it was found by pure chance. If we did a proper search of the area, who knows? Maybe we'd find whole herds of dinosaurs, their movements captured in time.
Like a giant prehistoric puzzle, just waiting to be pieced together. And these footprints, they're more than just pieces of a puzzle, right?
Absolutely.
They're incredibly valuable, not just for what they tell us about dinosaurs, but for what they represent.
You got it. They're a tangible link to a time so incredibly far away from our own. Like a reminder, that our planet has this incredibly long, complex history teeming with life forms that we can barely even imagine.
And that brings us back to imagination. Reading about dinosaurs in a book is one thing, but seeing their actual footprints, knowing they were here, it's like a whole other level of awe.
It's pretty powerful, isn't it? Bridges the gap between the abstract and the real. It makes the past come alive. And it really drives home the point of why we need to protect these sites, not just for scientists to study, but for everyone, for their cultural and historical importance.
Absolutely. These footprints are part of our shared heritage, a testament to the incredible diversity of life that our planet has seen. And who knows, maybe they'll inspire the next generation of paleontologists. Maybe there's another Gary Johnson out there just waiting to make an amazing discovery.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. The world is full of hidden wonders, and we still have so much to learn about the past. Every new fossil, every footprint, it's like adding another piece to that giant puzzle. It helps us build a more complete picture of life on Earth.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the dinosaur highway, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all this?
I'd say it's realizing that the past isn't as far away as we think. It's all around us, hidden beneath our feet, waiting to be discovered. And anyone with a little bit of curiosity and a keen eye can play a part in unraveling the secrets of our planet's history.
Beautifully said. I know I'm walking away with a sense of wonder and a big question. If these footprints could talk, what stories would they tell? What other secrets of Jurassic Oxfordshire are still out there? I guess that's the beauty of it all, right? The exploration never really ends.